All right, get ready, because we're diving deep into ancient Greece today. Sophocles' Antigone. We're going to untangle all the drama and the big questions this play throws at us.
It's a play that has really stuck with people for centuries.
For good reason. We've got excerpts translated from Polish, and I'm ready to get into it.
Excellent. So, a king makes a law, and a young woman says, nope, not doing that.
Sounds simple enough, right?
You think so, but it's not simple at all.
Yeah, I get the feeling things are about to get messy. I mean, just starting with the backstory here, Oedipus.
Talk about family drama.
He accidentally fulfills this prophecy, kills his dad, marries his mom.
It's really the foundation for the tragedy that unfolds in Antigone. The play actually starts after everything goes wrong for Oedipus, when his sons, Eteocles and Polynices, fight for control of Thebes.
And end up killing each other.
Exactly. That's where Creon comes in. He's Antigone's uncle and takes over as the ruler of Thebes after the brothers kill each other.
And his first move as king.
A decree that sets the whole conflict in motion.
He decides to honor Eteocles with a proper burial, but Polynices is labeled a traitor and denied any burial rights.
Creon believes he's doing what's best for the state, upholding the law,
Yeah.
keeping things in order.
But Antigone sees it very differently.
Oh, absolutely.
She's completely devoted to divine law and believes she has to bury her brother no matter what. That's a serious clash. Divine law versus human law.
A huge theme in the play.
What do you think it is about this theme that still resonates with people today?
I think it speaks to that inner struggle we all have, what we think is right versus what authority figures are telling us to do.
Right, like doing what you're told versus following your gut. It's something we all wrestle with.
Exactly. Antigone becomes a powerful symbol for individual conscience going up against the power of the state.
It's a conflict that's been around forever.
For sure. And it's not just Antigone wrestling with these questions. Her sister, Ismero, takes a very different approach.
Right. Ismene's all about caution.
She urges Antigone to just obey Creon. She's afraid of what will happen if they defy him.
She's trying to survive.
Right. It highlights a different way of navigating power, one that prioritizes self-preservation.
It makes you think even within a family, you can have such different responses to the same situation. It really gets you thinking, where would your loyalties lie?
For sure. And then you've got the chorus, a classic part of Greek tragedies.
They're like the voice of the people, right? They're watching everything unfold and giving us their take on the drama.
Exactly. They add another layer to the whole story.
What do they think about this showdown between Antigone and Creon?
The chorus is mainly worried. They're concerned about what will happen to the state if things get out of control.
Okay, so they're thinking about the big picture, the stability of everything.
Yes, and they're also uneasy about what Creon is doing, about denying Polynices a proper burial.
They're weighing the moral consequences, too.
Exactly, adding even more complexity to an already tense situation.
Then we've got Haman, Creon's son, and Antigone's fiancé. Talk about caught in the middle.
Haman is stuck between his father and the woman he loves.
And his sense of what's right.
He tries to reason with Creon, tries to get him to see things from a different perspective.
But his dad is stubborn.
Very stubborn. Creon's pride and his need to be in control, they blind him to everything else.
Which leads us to Tiresias, the blind prophet.
Yes. When he shows up, you know things are about to get serious.
He's not playing around. He delivers these chilling warnings to Creon, telling him he's messed with forces he shouldn't have by defying the gods and disrespecting the dead.
Tiresias isn't just some fortune teller.
No, he's like a direct link to a higher power.
Exactly. Someone even Creon should listen to.
But at first, he doesn't listen at all, does he? He's so convinced that he's right, that he's in the right.
His pride is just too much.
Do you think Sophocles is sending us a message here about the dangers of pride, especially for those in power?
Oh, definitely. It's a theme that we see play out over and over again throughout history, right? Leaders who get so caught up in their own ideas that they can't see the potential consequences.
And as we'll see in the next part of our deep dive, those consequences are about to hit Creon hard and everyone around him.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Antigone.
We're really going to dig into some of these powerful moments in the play. Like when Antigone faces Creon, she doesn't hesitate. She stands up for what she believes.
It's an amazing scene.
She tells him, point blank, that she has to follow a higher law. She even says something like, I didn't think your laws were stronger than the laws of the gods.
That's the core of their conflict, isn't it? Human law versus divine law.
It is. Antigone's willing to die for what she believes in.
She is. And then she says that death is a reward when you're surrounded by so much evil.
That's a powerful statement. What do you think she means by that?
It makes you think about what's truly worth dying for. Are there things more important than staying alive?
Like your principles, your integrity.
Exactly.
And Creon, he won't budge at all. He sees what Antigone is doing as a challenge to his authority. To him, it's all about power and control.
It is. He's obsessed with keeping order and preventing chaos.
He really goes after Antigone, too, accusing her of bragging about breaking his law. He even says if he doesn't punish her, she'll become the man and he'll become the woman.
That's a loaded statement.
It is. What's he trying to say by bringing gender into it?
I think it shows how much his idea of power is tied to being a man.
Like if a woman challenges him, he's less of a man?
Exactly. It threatens his whole identity as a ruler.
Okay. Let's move to another big scene. Haman begging his father to change his mind.
He appeals to Creon's reason and his sense of compassion.
He reminds Creon that reason is humanity's greatest gift.
He does. And it's such a sad scene because you can see how torn Haman is. He's trying to be a good son, but he also loves Antigone.
And he knows his father is wrong.
Right. He makes this comparison to trees bending in a flood so they don't break.
What do you think he's trying to say with that?
I think he's saying that sometimes you have to be flexible, even if you're powerful. You have to bend or you'll break.
He's telling his dad to loosen up a little.
Yes. And to listen to the people he rules. He even says that no one wants to live in a state ruled by one man.
Haman really seems to understand how to be a good leader.
He does. But do you think Creon gets it?
I think a part of him does, but his pride won't let him admit it. He has to be in control. He can't show weakness.
That's his downfall, really.
It's heartbreaking because Haman is trying to save his father from himself, and Creon just sees it as a betrayal.
He does. He even accuses Haman of siding with a woman over his own family.
Talk about missing the point.
Right. And then we have those warnings from Tiresias. Those are hard to forget.
Oh, man. His entrance is always a game changer.
It is. He's blind, but he sees so much more than anyone else.
He spells it out for Creon, tells him straight up, you've messed things up, the gods are angry, you're going to pay a terrible price. A life for a life. It's intense.
Tiresias uses really vivid imagery, too, talking about birds and rotting flesh.
Yeah, you can really picture it. Why do you think Sophocles used such graphic language?
Well, remember, this was a play. He wanted to make sure the audience felt the weight of what was happening.
Like a punch in the gut.
Right, to show them just how bad things were going to get. But even with that warning, Creon still doesn't listen at first.
Nope. His ego is too big. It's only when it's way too late that he finally sees the truth in Tiresias' words.
Sadly.
You know, I'm struck by how the chorus is like our guide through the play.
They're always there, watching, commenting on what's happening.
I really love that part where they sing about the power of love, how it's this unstoppable force.
Yes, and they talk about how it watches over young girls and can conquer even wealth.
It's beautiful.
It is. Love is a powerful theme in the play.
The chorus also says, there are many amazing things in the world, but nothing is more wonderful than man.
It's so true.
It makes you think about the good and bad that humans are capable of.
Exactly, that duality.
But they also warn about pride.
They do. Pride can destroy anyone, even the smartest and most powerful people.
It's a lesson Creon learns the hard way.
He does. You know, another thing that stands out to me are the family relationships in this play.
Yes. It's not just about big ideas.
Right, like the connection between Antigone and Polynices. It's so strong, even death can't break it.
And she risks everything for him.
She does. It really shows the power of family.
And then you have Antigone and Ismene, sisters who react in completely opposite ways.
It shows you how differently people can respond to the same situation. One sister is cautious, the other is defiant.
And then there's that tragic relationship between Creon and Haman.
Heartbreaking.
What do you think Sophocles is saying about family through their story?
I think he's showing us that even the closest families can be torn apart by pride and a lack of understanding. They just can't see eye to eye and it destroys them.
That's a good point. We've really covered a lot of ground here in part 2 of our deep dive. What's resonating with you the most from these scenes?
What's sticking with you? What are your thoughts on what's driving these characters? Share them with us online. We want to hear your perspective. And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to talk about the legacy of Antigone, how this ancient play is still relevant today, even thousands of years later.
Welcome back to our final look at Antigone. We've talked about the story, the characters, all the big ideas, but what I'm really thinking about now is, what's the lasting impact of this play? What makes it still feel important even today?
You know, Antigone deals with these really basic human experiences, good versus evil, going with your gut versus what society tells you, people abusing power. These are things that don't really change over time, even across cultures.
It feels relevant to everything going on in the world right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Antigone gives us a way to think about what's happening today. People protesting against laws they see as unjust, people speaking out against corruption. It's like Antigone's defiance is happening all over again.
That's incredible. A play this old still speaking to us makes you wonder if people have really changed all that much.
Right. And the play really makes us think about justice. Like, what is it really? Is it just following the rules no matter what? Or is there something bigger, something that makes you go against the rules sometimes?
Yeah, it makes you question who gets to decide what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And it shows what happens when power goes unchecked, something we see happening all the time.
Creon's story is like a warning, not just for leaders, but for everyone.
It shows how being arrogant and stubborn can backfire.
Big time. You can ruin your life and mess things up for everyone around you.
It's like Sophocles is telling us to look at our own beliefs and actions, to think about how what we do affects other people.
He wants us to think about the impact we have. Antigone has also had a huge influence on Western literature and theater, even philosophy.
Seriously.
Think about it. So many writers and artists have been inspired by this story, like Jean Anouilh, who wrote his own version of Antigone when the Nazis occupied France. He used the play to talk about resistance, about being brave in the face of tyranny. It shows how powerful this play is. It can be adapted and still speak to people in totally different times and places.
And philosophers have been debating Antigone for centuries. It's crazy to think that something written so long ago is still sparking these kinds of conversations.
It is. Antigone has become a symbol for standing up for what you believe in, even if it means going against authority and facing the consequences.
It's powerful. It makes you wonder who the Antigones of today are. What are they fighting for? What injustices are they trying to change?
Big questions to think about. I think the legacy of Antigone isn't just about how well written it is or its deep meaning. It's about how it makes us think critically and act with courage and kindness.
It's a call to action, disguised as a tragic story about resilience.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dives into Antigone. We've covered a lot from its roots in ancient Greece to what it means for us today.
We've looked at these complex characters, their different beliefs, and the timeless questions that are still relevant today.
This is just the start of the conversation, though. We hope you'll keep exploring. Antigone, read the play, see a performance, talk about it with your friends, and let us know what you think online.
We want to hear your take on this incredible work of art and what it says about being human.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and like Antigone shows us, never underestimate the power of your own conscience when you see something wrong.